Galistio back at it again. He released a 64, I think a 16 or a 32, and here's his 128 gigabyte version. And man, is this a whopper! What do we got here? Over 14,175 games. This is and he has NetPlay, the new NetPlay enabled on RecalBox, and over 84 systems. This is RecalBox, so it will only work for the Raspberry Pi 3. This is the Cobalt Galistio 128, and a lot of fixes to this, including it's now a .img instead of a .bin. MAME games have been tested, all the consoles working. The Portuguese games have been separated from the English games. So all around, wow, like, you know, one of the most developed RecalBox images out there. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Thank you to Yode for sponsoring this video. Handcrafted wooden watches. A lot of really cool wood carvings and things coming out of the retro community, so I thought you guys might appreciate this. There is a discount for all of you in the links below in the description, but also you can enter to win the giveaway, and one of my followers, it's Drew Talk specific, is going to win a voucher towards one of these wooden watches. Now there's a ton of designs. Check them out. Let's look at the one that I got. I chose the Dover Series Zebra Wood and Dark Saddlewood. It's beautiful, it handles water well, it's automatic, the latch is nice, and I've even received a couple compliments on it. All right, for this part, up, down, left, right on the D-pad, up, left on your left analog, and then up and left on your right analog, A, B, X, Y, start, select, bumper, trigger, click in your analog sticks, and select. Press OK. Hit start again, go to Options to Sistema, and then change this from Portuguese to English. Go ahead and go back, OK, and you should get a reboot here. All right, let's go ahead and turn off the sound for this video. Background music, front end music off. Also, let's lower this a little bit. Close. Also, while you're in here, you might want to change your theme. This particular image runs really well with the Alex Full Bellow by Galistio. Low view. Let's try that out. And then game list view. Let's just do default detailed. That's good. And so there's all sorts of ways you can customize this theme. This is something that RecalBox came out with, you know, I want to say a while ago, but it is within the last year that they came out with that. Oh, wow, this is a cool little theme. So it looks like they're using Dwayne Hurst Magazine Madness, and pretty cool. That's pretty dope. There's a lot of cool themes in here, I'm noticing. So that was Bellow View. I think you do logos, eminence. You know, something about this image has been updated many times. Oh, this view's pretty cool too. Let's try vertical wheel 2. All right, a couple other things. You do have Kodi in the main menu here. By pressing start, you can get to your Wi-Fi off network settings, and you can go to advanced settings and overclock very easily. Something about this is that it is only going to work with the Raspberry Pi 3B, not the B+, because it is RecalBox, and RecalBox, the front end, does not have stretch. So it does not work with the Raspberry Pi 3B+. This file size is 119 gigabytes, 127,865,455,000 bytes. So it's a little larger, but I'm using a SanDisk Ultra and I'm not having an issue whatsoever. So let's go ahead and see what we have on here. Game Boy 489, Game Boy Advance 1062, Game Boy Color 545, Family Computer Disk System 237, Virtual Boy 26, Game & Watch 51, Sega Master System 292, Tectoy you got 41, Mega Drive 904, Mega Drive Collection 97. So BR titles on this one, which I believe are in Brazil. So you're gonna have a little bit Portuguese on these games. Mega Drive. You got 194, Japanese Mega Drive, 194, Sega Mega Drive Hack. So pretty cool collection here of all the hack games as well. Genesis 32X, 37, Sega CD, you got 36. 2 of those are your favorites. So in case you're wondering what those are. And, you know, his previous 128 gigabyte was on my top 5. I really think it's a nice 128 for the Recalbox, and there was some issues with the Nintendo in the past, some other things, and all of that has been resolved. As you can see, the metadata, some of it's in English, some of it's in Brazilian, Portuguese. But when you launch the game, they 99% of the time are in English, especially on the consoles. Game Gear 262, SG 1068, Star Wars Collection. PlayStation, you got 114. So a lot of PlayStation games for the Raspberry Pi. And if you are going to play PlayStation, I might recommend overclocking, especially if you have a good case on your Raspberry Pi, maybe one with a fan or a big heatsink. Because they run just a little better, and the Pi can handle it. 1.35, 1.3, depending on your cooling. PSP 14, so quite a bit more of these added to it as well. And we'll play some. If you've seen my videos in the past, you can play like PSP at 2x speeds, no problem. PC Engine 290, PC Engine CD 22, Super Graphics 5, pretty standard 5. Scum VM. So this is where if you speak English, you might want to get rid of these. So all in Portuguese, unfortunately. That's one of the bummers. Neo Geo 171, Neo Geo hacks. You got 54. So some hacked Neo Geo games could be fun to play. You don't see these all the time on all the images. So pretty cool. Cave Story, again, this is going to be in Portuguese, so sorry, Atari 26, but if you use Portuguese, cool little game. 2600, 643, 7800, 64, Lynx 76, Neo Geo Pocket 9, Neo Geo Pocket Color 82, Wonder Swan 112, Wonder Swan Color 91, Doom. So these are some full versions of Doom. Doom 2, Doom 1, Doom the Ultimate, Doom Platonia, and Doom TNT. Coleco Vision 149, Vectrex 109, Lutro Game Framework 86, but actually it looks like there's some other files in here, so it's actually only about 10 or so. Amstrad CPC 360, Apple II 23, MSX 685, Commodore 117, Commodore 1200, 702, Sharp 8600 or 6800, 232, Odyssey 2, 116, your Capcom, your CPS 1, 2, and 3, 72, MAME, you got 346, MAME 2010, you got 397, MAME hacks, you got 16 of those, and then you got all your little MAME collections based on the publisher here, quite a few, and then it brings you back to favorites, and then Super Nintendo 829, Super Nintendo Portuguese titles, you got 138, Nintendo hacks 94, Super Famicom 259. You even have Nintendo CD. These are those, the better sound. Often is what a lot of people say with these versions. Satellaview. You've got 63. Nintendo. You've got 1217. Another Nintendo. These are your Brazilian Nintendos. As you see, it has the Brazil flag in the background. 170. And then Nintendo hacks, 926. Dynavision, 91. Nintendo 64, 236. Nintendo 64 hacks, 20. And we're back at Game Boy. So, a ton of stuff. Bring it on. Oh man, look at that. What the heck that move is that? Ooh, got me. Take that. Alright, so this is running really good. Get out of there. So Dreamcast is working really well. PSP works decent depending on the game. It's really the limits of the Pi right there. PlayStation's going to run just fine. Nintendo 64 surprisingly runs really well. And then with the main games, those all run really well. All right, let's try Asteroids here. Oh, I like how my ship basically got bigger than a planet when it exploded. All right, we beat a level. Level 2. I feel like a good strategy to this game is not to blow up so many blocks at first. Ooh, what does this do? Oh! Because you have more small blocks hanging around, so you want to limit the small blocks. I don't know what iteration this is now, but it's at least 4 or 5. It's now a .img file. In the beginning, it was a .bin if you go back to some of the Galistio old images. So it's way easier to use. A lot of people had issues with that. As you saw, it's really easy to switch things into English, and things are well labeled for you here on the menus. You can have plenty of theme changes you could do to it. It's got massive collections, and it's got some systems you don't always see. Some of the systems like PC Engine CD-ROM, Super Graphics, the Neo Geo hacks. Those are pretty standard. The Lutro games. Amstrad is not always on Apple II, MSX. The Amiga 600 and 1200. Not always included. 6800, Odyssey 2. And the list goes on and on and on, as you see here. You can always minimize the menus a little bit, take some things off, or add your own. And there's just not a lot of Recalbox images out there in general. So with all that said, I got to give this one a B+. The reason I'm not giving it an A is, you know, I don't speak Portuguese. If you speak Portuguese, this thing is an A+. Like, I don't think you could get a better image. But if you don't speak Portuguese, that's where I got to give it a B+. And I, you know, based on my YouTube analytics, I just don't think, you know, my Portuguese fan base is that large. But you know, that's the beauty of it. This is Galistio. He's the creator. He did a really great job. Over 14,000 games, huge. But as I mentioned, even if you do speak English, once you do the conversion and you mess around with everything, you get it to English. It's golden. It's a really nice image, and for those reasons, it would definitely make my top 3 Recalbox images for sure. It would probably make my top 5, top 6 128GB images for the Raspberry Pi 3. Just because it's Recalbox, it only works for the old Raspberry Pi 3, not the new 3 Plus. But other than that, once you get through the language things, I mean, you guys see this beauty. It's looking great. It's running great. It's streamlined. It has everything and anything. And easy to work with, really user-friendly. So with all that, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to Yode. Go ahead and check out those links in the description below.